Okay, so remember last night if you're here, we're covering, there's variations on Sumbrada, which in the West we commonly call the box pattern, right? But there's really a few variations. So you have a 2 count and a 3 count, which we refer to as high box. And the first one we're gonna do is just vertical for vertical. So if he gives me a vertical line, I can roof or umbrella, right? Roof stays in front of the head and umbrella goes over the head. Then I'm gonna feed him. He can roof or umbrella. When he feeds me the next time, see, I want to get my head offline. So now I might use the shoulder shield. And see, I'm more on this side for you too. So you might use the shoulder shield and drift out. See, but now, because of the stroke I just finished, now I'm going to move back to the right and do the umbrella. So there's this sort of back and forth. And if I do 2 umbrellas in a row, don't beat yourself up over it, but just try to watch. Are you doing the shield or the umbrella? Okay, so if we combine it with what we just did, one person's going to be the feeder. So we're going to go upward X, low backhand, high backhand, and then we're going to go back to it. Okay? And we're just going to have this on repeat. This is kind of the bridge. And then whenever I want, I'm going to feed the overhead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go back to the figure 8 family. We're just going to repeat that. Because that's a drastically different angle, so it's a good cue for him when I switch to, come in. Overhead, 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 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and back to the upward edge. Okay? What you want to remember about Kali is that it's a weapon-based system, and the weaponry behind it is structural. So we can use the same Sumbrada drills with a 2-handed sword, with a Japanese sword, Spanish sword, with a staff, with an axe, sword and shield, whatever it is. I like these because when you go to the staff training, like let's pretend there's a staff for a minute, sometimes people grip too wide. And then what happens is it takes a long time to get around to the next target because you're just too broad. So when you measure a staff length, you want it to be like wrist to elbow. And so this handle end to end is about that size. So see, from here to here, I can get there kind of quick that way. And it doesn't matter. With the staff, I can grip in the center. It's still going to follow that same width of my own forearm, basically. Does that make sense? And you can hold the staff at the end, just like the katana as well, and you'd have the same size of grip. But for me, sometimes I still use the staff, and then I feel myself wandering. And you can just tell because you get slow and some of the angles of blocking become kind of awkward, right? So if we just do the same thing, you're going to have the yellow band facing you. Yeah, if you haven't used the shinai before, the yellow band on the back represents the back of the blade, so you always know where the edge is. And then where there isn't that, that's the front of the blade. Here, this way. So we're going to go upward X, 1, 2, very good. And then low backhand, high backhand. That's it. So we go upward X, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to break in vertical for vertical. Vertical, vertical, vertical. 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go back. That's it. So same drill we just did, just with a longer object. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. All right? Let's try that. This will help you out. I see some of the positions going on here. So one of the things you do, right, is even though we have a 2-handed object, whether it's staff or sword, you're still right-hand dominant if you're right-handed, right? So what you can do, like when you think of blocking, it's really my right hand is doing the work, and then your left hand is for reference and control, like for dexterity. So sometimes if you're confused about the position, just take a moment. So if he feeds the overhead, how would I do that if I just had a single stick? Okay, I'll go like that, and I would move offline. Okay, now I just grab the end. See, that's the right-hand dominant version of the umbrella, right? And then if he feeds me the vertical again, and I go here, okay, my left hand's gonna be like that. So whenever you need to check it, just work something like this. Like if you give me the straight thrust, and I go here, see, that's the right-hand dominant version. This can be awkward, but it gives you a lot of recoil to snap and pull to come back over. So whenever there's confusion, like you might feed me angle 1, and you're like, well, where do I go from there? Okay, well, let's see, that would be my inside sweep, and then I would go for a backhand for the head if we do a 3 count. So now I'm gonna go forehand and turn a backhand, and then I'm gonna feed the overhead. See, that's high box, but now it's a 3 count instead of a 2 count. Forehand, shield, and overhead. But to figure that out, you need to know where your right hand is at. So sometimes I just take my left hand off and I examine it. What the heck am I doing? All right, and then you can kind of plug it back in. Does that make sense? All right, just try that if you get lost. Which you can do with the long range weaponry, two-handed structure also. And then we have the common 5 count, which when people think of Sumbrada, to me that's the most popular version of it. So you can do any one you want, but we're going to stick with the figure 8 family. So we're going to go upward X, low backhand, high backhand. We're going to keep that going. I'm going to go nice and easy so you see it coming. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed him a forehand. So we're going to go backhand, backhand, and I'm going to forehand thrust, and you're going to inside sweep. And we're going to go into the box pattern. And it can be any box pattern. See, he knows what we're doing, so I can change it from a 3 count to a 5 count. I can go vertical, 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 forget that, back to a 5 count, whatever, right? I could scissor, and then see, and that's a 3 count. And then we're going to go back to upper X, low back and high back. And so I moved out to long range, that's the signal. So 1, 2, and now, after the backhand, instead of going low, I just feed him a wide high thrust he can pick up, and that puts us back into any of the box pattern. Does that make sense? So we're just using this probe series as sort of our long range bridge. And we can do other stuff too. So you defend the backhand. Boom, yeah, that's it. See, now we're back into Sumbrada off the backhand. But I think it's a little easier because it's kind of built into this low backhand jab. And now we cross, see, but I feed the thrust, and he picks it up, and we go back into Sumbrada that way. So there's a lot of different ways to feed the thrust. So right now, I'm feeding outside his shoulder, so when you do the inside sweep, it feels kind of comfortable, like you can get there, as opposed to like, go ahead and do it. See, he wants to scissor that, because that was more center line. Which might be how I actually deliver a thrust. Just like when I feed the one, right, hey, oh, good job, all right. But if I really want to hit somebody with one, I'm not going to hit you on. But go ahead and inside sweep, see, that, it feels awkward because I'm cutting the line so steeply. So same with the thrust, and for safety, I just go outside the shoulder. That's it. And then we're back to the floor. All right. Just whatever you got out of that, I'll give you 2 minutes.